welcome to this segment of Be Simply. This is Suzanne Toro, and I want to thank you all for being here today. We have special guest Jeramiah Blackbeard. He is the founder of War Party Movement and War Party Ranch. Without further ado, let's dive in with Jeramiah. Welcome, Jeramiah. I'm so glad you're here. It's been a journey to this point, and I appreciate your patience. I'm really excited to shine a light on your great work. Being that even where we are right now, going into Super Bowl when we're recording this, which is a big weekend for human trafficking, which part of your mission is to shine awareness on these atrocities that happen on our planet. I would love for you to share from your perspective what led you into wanting to help the indigenous and how you feel others can help. Because I think they might feel a little overwhelmed sometimes when this topic comes up, like that they can't do anything about it. So I love your insight.
Yes, ma'am. So, for me, it started when I was a kid. My mother is Native. So, my mother's a Muskrat Apache, and my dad is a cowboy from Montana, by way of California. So, I grew up as a kid in Montana, and my mother was always, working with a lot of Native women growing up. And that was just whether it was um, helping them get out of abusive relationships, finding a safe place for them to go, helping provide, with food, shelter, what have you, all the way to, I remember as a kid, both of my parents testified in a really big child abuse case with a foster family that was raising Native kids. So I've always been really connected to the Native community in that way growing up as a kid. And then, through high school and whatnot, powwow season, all summer long, we're attending powwows and doing ceremony. And then I joined the Army when I was 17. So I had a really big gap of not being surrounded by the Native community or not really being involved in the Native community, other than, other Native friends I had that I met along the way while I was in the military. um, so I spent 22 years in the Army. Most of that time I was a Special Force operator. I served in 3rd Special Forces Group and in 10th Special Forces Group. With that, I have, multiple combat deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. And in a lot of those places, you kind of see humanity at its worst, but also humanity at its best. I think that people don't quite understand that about war. And when I say humanity at its best, it's people, fighting for each other and serving each other. And the best thing about Special Forces is we live and train and fight right alongside with our partners, whether they're, when we're in Iraq or Afghanistan. So I've lived and really inculcated with those people of those countries. So that being said, when I retired from the Army, I had planned to do what a lot of guys in my background do, which was contract work, working for an OGA. I was set to go to overseas to Africa, and then COVID hit. So once COVID hit, basically, travel was shut down. There was no way for us to go overseas and actually combat, human trafficking. And we're set to go to Uganda, specifically where I was going to go.
Wow.
There in Uganda is a big problem with child mutilation, child sacrifice. a lot of witch doctors, things like that. And then that kind of feeds into the human trafficking trade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so anyway, so wasn't able to go. COVID shut everything down, and then in that time of kind of lockdown when things were weird, I decided I wanted to start getting involved in the Native community and assisting people using my skill set as a special forces operator. So I began to work with families, helping them do search and rescue efforts for missing
Wow.
women. The first family I assisted was on the Navajo reservation, um, and I'm located at, kind of about 45 minutes outside of Denver. So Navajo Res is a couple hours away. Um, and I quickly realized, I needed a way to supplement funding for this. Like it's expensive, whether it was just gas or trying to pay for food or
Yeah.
a cadaver dog or whatever it was. So I started a company called War Party Movement. And what War Party Movement is in a nutshell, is it's an apparel company that I was using the funds from the sales to help assist these families. And what that grew to in about in the first year of doing that was everything from providing families a few $100s to be able to provide food for
Mm-hmm.
everyone who's going to come out and search, or whether that's gas money to another veteran with my background that could go assist. That's something I've done, is heavily lean on the veteran community, especially the special operations guys I know, to go take their skill sets to meet with these families and assist them in search and rescue efforts.
Mm-hmm.
So from that all the way to kind of being tied into drone programs to paying for cadaver dogs. We've done a lot of good things with, I would say, my margins aren't great. I'm not making a ton of money doing this. But we've been very successful with a couple $100s here and there to
Mm-hmm.
assist these families.
Yeah.
Well, when I was doing that, um, the thing that I realized that was the hardest was once we rest. Um, Now I'm trying to call these other nonprofits and places to be able to take her to a secure location where she feels safe,
Right.
and can basically kind of start over. Um, so that being said, that was one of the hardest parts. Was I'm on the phone, I'm trying to call these nonprofits, trying to figure out who's got a bed, what's good for this woman, you know, and the biggest problem is most of these places are only a 30-day program.
Yeah.
So in that 30 days, and I don't want this to come on like a knock to these programs or these facilities,
Yeah.
um, because I'm definitely grateful for them and for what they do. But the reality is, let's say you run a safe house nonprofit, and you can provide beds for 10 women. Those 10 women can stay there for 30 days. You're doing everything you can just to try to feed and cook for them, and make sure that that mental health wise and what they're going through, they have some support. You're with 10 women in a house that are through similar problem set. It's very chaotic. Oftentimes, even they're not looking for jobs. They're not learning a skill set. They're not doing anything to improve their situation,
Right.
um, where they came from. So they're not to break the cycle of abuse. So what happens at the end of this 30 days, these women go back to, most of the time, what's familiar to them. They go back to family, or they go back, a lot of them go back to the abuser, or to situations just like the one they came from with a different abuser. So that being said, I was just kind of looking at, what I love, my passions in life, horses and just nature, being a cowboy, being an outfitter. Um, and I partnered with one of my best friends. Her name is Mike Wysocki, and she is in most badass cowboy you can think of. I mean, she's like the female version of the outlaw Josie Withers. She's
Mm.
super gritty, super tough, and now tremendous. So what we did is we partnered together, and we started a nonprofit called War Party Ranch. So what War Party Ranch is, it's a 501c3 nonprofit that takes female survivors of abuse, and we teach them horsemanship, stockmanship, horsepacking skills. with the goal of not only breaking the cycle and healing through horses and nature, but to
Yeah.
be able to have them be able to stand on their own 2 feet and have a new beginning. So the vision for this program is a girl comes from Arizona that's in a was in a situation. She comes to Colorado for 10 weeks. She graduates our course. Now she's working on a ranch in Wyoming, completely autonomous on her own. Doesn't have to go back to the things that she came from, the familiarities that she knew. She has
Yeah.
a new beginning, a new identity, and quite frankly, I mean, what we do is so hard, it's so rigorous that she's also gained so much grit and determination and empowered herself just by nature and horses and the things that she's dealt with. So, um, long way of saying it, but that is
No,
what I've been
amazing.
working on, and thank you. What I've been doing since I retired, and yeah, so that's War Party Ranch and what War Party Movement is.
Mm. Is and in War Party Ranch is there in Colorado where you are?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
are in Colorado. We started it last summer. Obviously, trying to raise money. Horses are super expensive to maintain and
Yeah.
deal with, and what we're trying to accomplish. Excuse me. So what we've been doing kind of on a smaller scale is we work with a few women locally,
Mm.
um, to try to help empower them, and basically that's because we don't have a facility where we don't have the money on hand to be able to house women for an
Yeah.
extended period of time.
Right.
um, the other thing is really be heavily involved in the community and just try to push that message of you know really, like, I look at kind of the cowboy code. What does that mean? What do people expect when they see me in public? It's one thing I think is, they expect me to be a gentleman. They expect me to be tough. They expect me to be gritty, and just have good character. So we really lean on the Western community to help us provide that with these women and instill these core values in them. So what we've been doing is really just trying to work with the community, kind of tell our story, showcase what we're doing, and raise money. Um, we also have a lot of ties because we work horse packing, which a lot of outfitters pack. So there's kind of a hunting angle to that. And what
Mm.
we did was we took a Navajo woman that I've been working with for about a year with the War Party movement side. We basically put her through a like a hunting program of our own, where we helped her get a bow, hooked her up with a mentor where she's from in Arizona, started shooting her bow, and then we brought her out to Colorado for a
Mm.
backcountry elk hunt. Not completely, aligned with exactly what that mission statement was as far as teaching stockmanship and horsemanship and whatnot,
Yeah.
but basically a healing journey and another side of the fence of what we're doing with outfitting. Um, and we're also big on, like, I wanted to show people where their money went, and I wanted to do some good with the money that we raised, and
Yeah.
really try to improve someone's life with the money that we raised,
Mm.
and not just use it for more marketing or more, or more fundraising
Yeah.
efforts.
Absolutely. Beautiful. And if you can share a couple things, Cowboy Code, how can that help us right now? And then I'm going to go back into your efforts, but it stuck out. I'm like, oh, I think we need Cowboy
Yeah,
Code.
I think, there's so many things. I was raised that way, everyone. Here's an example. Everyone is a miss or a mister or your aunt or your uncle.
Mm.
That's how we were raised. Everybody's yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Mm.
You're just respectful. Nowadays, people don't look you in your eyes and shake your hand. People don't know their neighbors. People don't help each other out. If you're on the road and you see someone blow their tire out in front of you, people don't stop anymore. People are just so singular,
Mm.
and I think we look at, like, this human connection in a different manner because we have social media now. So we look at all these connections we have and we think we're actually involved in our community or involved with people, and the reality is we're not. Most people, like
Right.
I said, don't even know who their neighbors are. um, and the sense of community is lacking. And I look at, like, the cowboy code and just cowboys in general. We're kind of the dying breed of Americans that still honor that. Um, And I also think something that's kind of misconstrued when I say the word cowboy. Um, Women are cowboys,
Yeah,
and so is every color and creed of people. Um,
absolutely. Oh,
like the first cowboys, were vaqueros, which were actually
hmm.
Spaniards and Indians. So basically, what a Mexican would be today, but they were
Yeah,
mostly indigenous, mostly
yeah,
Spaniard. And then, the word boy itself, that was a vaquero. And then that kind of changed as the Californios, white people couldn't pronounce vaquero. So they started saying buckaroo, buckero, buckaroo. It kind of matches.
yeah.
So you have buckaroo cowboys. And then the word boy itself was because, slavers, they called the slaves boys.
Mm.
So, the rich white men weren't out tending cattle. That was black
Oh,
guys in Texas, and
yeah,
then and a lot of slaves. And as that kind of merged into, you have your in the South moving up into the United States, and then you have a lot of immigrants, poor Irish, poor people, poor white guys, whatever their background was, getting on a horse and becoming herdsmen and tending cattle.
mm.
So nowadays it's kind of this it's looked at as like most people don't really know real cowboys. They know people that have horses. Most of
Yeah,
those people who just have horses have a lot of money. Um, and then in the West, where most of your cowboys are at because of the land, those guys are, small family owned businesses. Um,
mm.
they don't make very much money. But we have a joke, $5 a day is what you make, but any day on a horse all day, like, I mean, you can't compare it. I
Yeah,
mean, it's hard to describe to people who don't understand that. Um, so I look at that connection with nature, with the land, with the animals,
mm.
um, with your environment. That's just a huge connection that I think that is missing a lot of times in our country, and most people don't have that sense of community and that connection to their surroundings.
Yeah. I apologize. My four-legged just came in and took my pen.
It's okay. I have two crazy Catahoula leopards that are go wild outside, so
Yeah,
I'm the
that's
same.
fine. Well, being I grew up in cowboy country in Arizona, uh, I totally love the, I don't know, it has very fond memories, riding the horses and being at the gatherings, it was
Mhm.
a beautiful like community. With that, you've integrated horses, from bringing awareness and support, and equine therapy is quite effective. What have you noticed just with the people that you've been working with by giving them these two faculties, like work, connection with nature, I guess three, and then the communion with the horse? Because indigenous culture, this is a very sacred animal. Uh, it gives you a
Yeah,
lot of guidance.
yeah, absolutely. I think one, um, there's a couple aspects to it when you talk about horses and horsemanship. Um, First, I would say, you have to build your own confidence as a rider to be confident that you can handle that animal. So the more that you learn the correct cues and your timing and your own balance, your confidence starts to raise. You start to feel better.
You went away.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Are we
So,
back now?
yeah, we're back.
Okay.
We keep
Okay.
it real here. So,
Okay.
confidence is raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So confidence, it's just growing confidence that you have, and it's a very tangible something you can look back on. If you get on a horse on Monday and you ride with me all week, you can look back to how you felt on Monday and how you rode on Monday
Mm,
compared to how you ride and how you feel on Friday, even with the same animal. The other thing is that bond and that trust that you build in each other. And a lot of times, yes, that takes a while to be able to accomplish, but you definitely create a trust and a bond with each other because quite frankly, you're in control, but you're not really in
yeah.
control. I mean, this is a, 1,000+ pound animal that can kind of do whatever it wants to if it really wanted to. So you have to build a lot of that trust and confidence in your own abilities as well as their abilities and what they're capable of doing. So I think that that in itself is very healing, very powerful. And then it's hard to explain. It's very iconic, I think, because nowadays modern society we have so many movies and pictures and you get to see so many things and then you just to me, in my opinion, that's how a lot of people feel. They feel very nostalgic. They feel very iconic
Mm.
when they are riding and they're doing things, especially when you're in the middle of nowhere in the mountains gathering, or you're on a big pasture, or you're on a ranch, just out working it. It's very easy to just to feel that connection and feel rooted to nature in a different way that is unlike if you're just out walking or hiking or something in the mountains, or you're
Mm.
just out for a leisurely stroll with a dog or something. Very different feeling. So I think like that in itself is super powerful when it comes
Mm.
to healing and building confidence, building trust. And it doesn't have to be in people, it can be in an animal, it can be in something different. But I think oftentimes this trust is so broken with these women that have gone through these things that just building trust with anything is
Yeah.
um, is a step forward in the right direction, and understanding what it takes to regain trust from something, from that animal, and vice versa. So I think
Yeah.
that's a huge step in moving forward. Um,
Mm.
and then the other part of nature, we all need nature. I think that,
Yeah.
that saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And when I look at that, I like to say, we all need a village. It's not a child. We all need to be part of a village. We all need to be part of some
Yeah.
a community. What's happened to us in general, um, throughout the world, not just the United States, is that we became so big. Our communities are so big that they're no longer a village. We no longer have these ties that we used to. So I think that connecting with nature was automatic. It was almost automatic. It was because we live in these such small communities. And now trying to reconnect with nature is very hard for people, and people are so disconnected. And when we say connecting with nature, I don't mean like you go for a walk in your park in your city.
Yeah.
Most people, I spent 22 years in the army. I was a Green Beret. I mean, I went through almost every advanced course you can think of when it comes to living out of a backpack in
Mm.
austere environments. And those are skills that, 150 years ago, everyone possessed and
Yeah.
everybody had. It wasn't something that you had to teach on this abundant scale, or there's just a lost art. Um, so when I look at all those things, you have to remember that these people that are learning these skills, whether men or women, there's such a huge journey, because you're building this confidence of, going to a place where everything around you can kill you, and to a place where you can thrive and enjoy yourself and have an amazing time. Um, and I think that that connection is so important. Um, and then the other part of it is it makes you so tough and so gritty, because I don't have to yell at you or be upset with you or scold you or you do all these things for you to feel like you're empowered and you went through a rigorous time. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to snow, it's going to rain, it's going to be windy, you're going to be dealing with animals. I mean, this is not for the faint of heart. This isn't
Yeah.
um, come out to Colorado and hang out with us and take pictures for Instagram. Like, it's tough. It sucks. Um, and I look at this program that we're building for these women as a platform to where, 5 years from now, when life gets tough and something happens, they'll kind of chuckle in their mind and think back and say, it ain't raining. I'm going to sleep in a bed tonight, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that that's what's common with soldiers, people who've been to war and people who've been to combat and experienced that, bullets flying, people dying, all the drama and the things that we see on TV, or the things that guys talk about with their experiences. And ranchers and outfitters, cowboys have that same, been through some very similar hardships, where they understand how tough and how hard it is. So a lot of times, we don't really freak out about the small things that, all these first world problems that everybody else thinks is the end of the world.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and being that you've had so many tours, um, how has this assisted for yourself personally, even with any PTSD, any of that from your time overseas?
Um, I think for me, it's obviously given me my own kind of happy place, to be, especially in the mountains. My favorite thing in the world is to be in the mountains on a horse, working in some capacity, whether that's, outfitting, leading a pack string, or, trying to find cows and gather cattle in the mountains. Um, but it's definitely gave me I would say, brings you back to reality a lot of times. It's easy for all of us. As much as I said, I know what seriousness is. Sometimes I don't stress out over things that I should stress out about that are probably a big deal, and then I'm very nonchalant about it because my bar is so high on what I think is an actual real dilemma or real problem set.
Mm,
Because no one's dying, no one's shooting at me. It's not that big of a
yeah,
deal. So I think sometimes that helps me get more grounded in reality, being a dad, being a husband, and understanding that other people's problems should be important, as well, to an extent. And I think the other thing it's done for me is um, this not only working, if I just take myself, being able to work, do general cowboy work, giving me a sense of purpose. The same type of hard work and commitment and leadership, self-sacrifice and things that I did in the military. It's very similar, when you're working with animals or working with horses and cattle, because you have to take care of them before you take care of yourself. And there's also
right.
so many similarities there that I think that, yeah, I was institutionalized. I spent 22 years in a system, so of course I'm going to be like a system guy. I'm going to want
Yeah.
things done a certain way, and I think that the Western lifestyle is a lot like that, and
Mm,
gives me that sense of purpose in that way. And then on top of that, adding War Party Movement and War Party Ranch now, that's given me a new chapter in my life and a new direction, a new sense of purpose. Um, Especially in the veteran community, I see a lot of guys getting hung up on, who they were, what they did. And me being in the Army, me being a Green Beret is a chapter of my life. It's not the whole book. It's a chapter of my life, and now I'm on another chapter of my life. So
mm,
I think that understanding that and really creating those kind of hard lines of like, now I'm not a Green Beret, I'm retired, now I'm doing this, and this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm helping people. The
yeah.
motto of Special Forces is "De oppressively bear," which is French for um, free the oppressed. So I think that this just
Mm,
gives me another way to continue to work in the community, to continue to do that mission and
absolutely.
those skill sets that I learned as a Green Beret.
Beautiful. And can you share a little bit? I've noticed this for myself, but uh, that service really helps minimize maybe sometimes the impact, even if there's a trauma trigger. If I go into service, that it's all of a sudden it vanishes like that. It's pretty wild.
Absolutely,
Do you
absolutely.
notice that?
Yeah, I don't know the exact quote, but I know Martin Luther King talked about it about serving others, and what it does for yourself, what it does for you, you the way you feel. Um, I think it's easy to get caught up in the mundane tasks of, whatever life is, whatever your given circumstances are. The kids, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, your job, your bosses, your friends,
Yeah.
all these things. I think it's easy to go by and let these days just fly by you, and you actually don't do anything for others. And when you do things for others and you serve in a selfless way, I think that it just fills your cup up. I mean, it gives you so much joy, um, to see, you know, not only how it affects other people,
Mm,
how you can help other people and the effects you have on their life. But I think that that is like another reminder that, as many things and wildness that goes on in the back and forth politically and whatever is going on in our country, I think that um, there's not enough of the feel good stories. There's so many amazing people doing amazing things out here, and
Agreed.
no one ever talks about it. And we always look at the crap, the bullshit. We wanna feed on everything negative, and we never uplift each other and look at anything positive.
Mm,
So it's easy to take one topic, whether it's race or whatever you want to pull, and only find so much negative.
yeah,
Meanwhile, why you're calling something the most racist country in the world, or whatever you're going to go off of on your tangent, there's a mixed family that love each other, that are doing
yeah,
things that other places in the world can't even fathom doing.
yeah,
And I think that that's lost a lot in American culture. Um, so I think that serving others is a good way to kind of have that reminder, that we're all the same. We're all human beings. We're
yeah,
all and we all need each other. Like I said, it takes a village, not to raise children.
absolutely.
It takes a village for all of us. And the more that you can grow that village and help people out in your village, the more in return, the better your community is going to be, and the better
Mm,
the village you live in is going to be.
yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Um, can you share a little bit on positivity wise, the power of what a community can do, especially in abuse or if someone is taken and but they have a sense of where that's coming from, what the community can do, one, just to help out or circumvent that, and then two, how to keep positivity in those moments where it might be feeling really dark.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing when it comes to community, when you're looking at and specifically, like somebody who is in an abusive relationship, an abusive situation, or they're you can take the missing and murdered, um, look at it through that lens as well. Is The community often has a lot of the clues and ties and understands what's going on, and they're pieces to the puzzle to help you put that story together as you're conducting investigations. Um, there's also a way to, a lot of times in communities, it just takes one person to have the guts to stand up, to say something,
Mm,
to fight back, and then you kind of get that sense of community where everyone's like, okay, if Jeremiah is willing to say something, so am I. Like, I'll do it too. It kind of a lot of times just takes one person to say like, hey, we don't want gang violence in our neighborhoods. Like, I don't care. I'll be out here. I'll
yeah.
walk my kids to school every day. Like, those once that mom that starts doing that, then next thing you know, there's 10 moms that do that. And there's a sense of
Mm,
community through strength through each other. Um, so I think that that is very important, and that's a way that your community can assist you in a positive manner in dark times, or with problem sets that you see that are going on in your community.
mm,
When it comes to um, to that, I think that that is where the positive comes from. All these people coming together to assist a family, or to us, or to try to make some kind of impact on what's going on. The downside is the opposite of that as well. Whereas the community, you have a lot of bad actors, and they will
mm,
kind of insert themselves in the community and
yeah.
create a lot of gossip and create a lot of turmoil, because they see what's going on, and they feel threatened. They feel threatened when people band together, and they walk in a good way, and they come in a good way, and they're walking in the light. They feel intimidated and threatened by that, so they're going to do
Mm,
everything they can to bring that down. Something I see really big in the Native community in particular with that is Facebook. Social media itself, they start attacking each other on social media and trying to,
oh wow. Yeah.
play a lot of games, a lot of victim blaming and things like that, and to create and to see and to sow turmoil, so that way the community won't band together and won't try to help each
Yeah.
other. They'll kind of feed off the gossip and the turmoil and these seeds that are sown, versus what we talked about in the latter. So
Yeah.
it's kind of twofold. It can go in any direction. I've had experiences with both directions, with the good, where the community really coming together to assist, or opposite of that, where the community really kind of folding and just sowing really bad seeds, and you can see the bad actors, really influencing the community in a negative direction.
Mm, yeah. And in the effort of like transforming all, if that's possible, that's my plight, like, not just helping um, those that have been victimized. How do you feel about the way to reach those that are perpetrating?
Um, I think that the first thing that when you look at abusers is they don't know what right looks like
Mm,
oftentimes. Um, so if you were to remove filters, alcohol, drugs, other things that could be at play to really to create a lot of stressors in life that are just stressors that you could remove to improve things.
right.
Um, obviously those are big, especially in lower income communities. You have drugs and alcohol. Just addiction in general is something big. Um, and then when you talk about the other side of it, how do you what's the step forward for that? So what I try to do, I do have a joke, on my social media, and just what I say I'm your mom's favorite cowboy, and it is kind of a joke, like on a your mama joke, but at the same time, it means I do want to be your mom's favorite. I try to every encounter I have with a woman, especially with women, but just in everyone in general, but more in particular women. Whether it's in passing at the grocery store, or you're a friend of mine, or um, whatever the case is, I want to be the example of what right looks like.
Mm,
Um, my daughters, the way they see that I treat my wife, the way I treat my daughters, the way I treat my female friends, the way my sons talk to women, the way so everyone, you're going to learn from all those experiences. And I think the biggest problem really is, and from talking to my friends and the women I've worked with, like, I'm being myself, and I'm being who my mother and father raised. I'm not doing
mm,
anything extra. In my opinion, I'm not extra nice to you. I'm actually still kind of mean, and tell it like it is. I don't
mm,
change. But I always get, wow, thank you. I've never been treated this way, or these things from women. And I think it's just because they never had an example of what they deserve, how they deserve to be treated, and
mm,
what right looks like. So I think that when we talk about improving abusers, and how do we move forward with them, and how do they fix themselves, we have to
mm,
give them example of, one, how they deserve to be treated, as well as how they should be treating others. And if you don't teach them in the example, they're not just going to fix it automatically,
right.
regardless if it's an addiction issue or there's some kind of outliers there. It's not just going to fix itself. They have to understand what right looks like, and how to improve themselves, and how they should be treating others.
Yeah.
Um, so that way, when they do get to the point of anger, or expressing feelings, that they're able to express them in a different way, because they understand, how to be treated and how to treat others.
Right. Beautiful. Yeah, it's interesting because Hopi Nation, where I've spent some time out there, they have a very masculine to feminine relationship, very honoring and respecting even the language,
Mhm.
which a lot of Native American tribes are that way. And I always feel like it's been lost for sure. And one thing that always stuck to me that they said is they never knew, like it really, like when like he said this to me, but he said, I never knew women would be treated the way they were when they were crusaded. Um, they'd never seen anyone like physically harm a woman. So it makes me think like, where did this start? Like, where the imbalance started, and not blaming anyone, just wondering like, what
Mhm.
was that thing? But I
Yeah.
like that, teaching them right. Um, so with your mission of raising awareness and with War Party movement and then the ranch, what are your next steps like that you're hoping to call in for yourself and in
Yeah.
your vision?
So right now, I'm actually working on the websites, trying to kind of merge the two together. So that way, it's very apparent that there's like a parent company, our story of what I was talking about before, working with these women and really trying to find a long term solution for
Mm,
breaking the cycle of abuse. So what we have on our plate, kind of, I would say our 2023 goals are my goal is to run two women through the 10-week program here in Colorado. That's the low ball goal. I really want to run four. We want to run four every year, every summer for 10 weeks. We think that that's a really good ratio. A lot of hands-on, a lot of one-on-one training. The student to instructor ratio isn't so big that we're missing a lot of pieces. And we really want to um, be cautious and sensitive to where these women came from and their experiences that they dealt with in the past. So we really want to start this off really slow and make sure that we are doing all the things, a lot of the things that we talked about. Every man that they encounter is what right looks like. Because quite frankly, we're going to send them off to the real world where they're going to work for some guy who might say two words all day long. And that doesn't mean he's mad at them. Doesn't mean that they're
Right.
doing a bad job. That's just how that old cowboy communicates.
Yeah.
Or they might work for somebody who cusses and yells, and they might work for somebody who used to be a criminal. The cowboy world is full of a lot of characters, so it's the real world, and we want to get them prepared for that. So I think that anyway, keeping the ratio low. So that's our goal for 2023 is to run two women through the program, and then
Beautiful.
continue to raise awareness and continue to talk about breaking the cycle of abuse. Kind of our track on how we're getting there is we do have a few fundraiser events that are coming up. We've been so
Oh
blessed
yeah.
with people just wanting to help us, wanting to be involved in any way they can. Um, on the 11th of February, this Saturday, we have a bucking bull event that we're part of. So myself and Micah and a couple of the other girls that are instructors will be there setting up and running bulls and running the chutes
Mm.
and helping out at this event. And then right now I'm training for it's called the Grand Traverse. It's the biggest backcountry ski race in North America. This will be my fifth year racing in this race. It's
Mm.
40 miles from Crested Butte to Aspen. And I'm using that as a fundraising platform for War Party Ranch. And my goal is to raise $10,000. And
Beautiful.
that would be able to provide one woman full tuition through our course. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what we've got on our plate as far as 2023. Um, we've got a couple other really cool foundations and folks that we work with that we're hoping to kind of grow. And really, what it is, it's just opportunities for the girls that go through our program to showcase their skills and learn more skills through
Mm.
working with some of the other veteran nonprofits and partners that we've like I said, these just amazing people reaching out and
Yeah.
wanting to give us opportunities. So
Beautiful. I feel like there's going to be a ranch in your future.
yes, ma'am, we hope so.
Yeah.
Right now we do have a plan um, to be able to lease a facility, through our partners through ranchers and the community we have here in Colorado. We're basically going to be given some space to operate out of during the summer. So that's the short term. Long term, yes, absolutely. If Elon Musk is listening and wants to write me a check, yeah, I have a budget he can look at with the
Yeah.
ranch on there.
Yeah, I see
But
it. I can totally see it.
yeah, but I mean, that's a dream, and we'll get there. We'll get there one day. Um,
Yeah.
we'll make it happen. I think the biggest thing for us now is it's really hard to tell these women's stories, and the thing I've struggled with War Party movement is telling the stories of the families and the women that we've helped. They're not my stories to tell. There's a lot of
Yeah.
privacy and security and things that they've gone through. So it's really even hard to show some of the things that we've done on the War Party movement side. Um, un- and unfortunately, in today's day and age, if you don't tell the story, you don't have good media and good content, it's hard for people to
Mm.
jump on board and to see what you're doing. So that's another kind of a goal that we have for 2023 is to
Mm.
really try to tell the story of these women in a way that honors them and is respectful to them. And if one of the girls wants to, get in front of the camera and say everything, then fine. She doesn't
Mm.
have to. For all I care, we can have video of her boots flying by. She's on a horse. Or what. They don't have to
Yeah.
have that. But what we do need to do is get the community involved outside of our local Colorado community that knows what we're doing,
Mm.
and try to tell that story. And with this being kind of our inaugural year, bringing women in for the first year, for that full program, it's going to
Yeah.
set us up for success for years to come. So these the first gals that we're able to pick when we do go through the selection process will have a lot on their shoulders. More than just their own healing journey. They are going to be the stepping stone for many women to come,
Yeah.
to be able to heal and break their own cycle of abuse.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I'll share the interview with you, and I'll cross link you guys when we put it up. Her interview comes out this week, but she teaches women self-defense skills, and she
Awesome.
said something really strong that she's a former police officer, but she said it really helps when people tell their story. It helps the person that's afraid to get out of the situation, because with abuse, especially, you feel a lot of shame, like, how did you
Absolutely.
get yourself into this situation? Why are you in this situation? So,
Yeah. It
I
can
might,
it can happen to anyone and everyone, the
yeah,
best, the brightest, the toughest, can happen to
yeah,
anybody.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to, I have some creative ideas flowing in my head. But yeah,
Awesome.
it's a service, and then to see, we all like the hero story. So we love seeing, their transformation, because that's, I think, what humanity does. We champion for each other in that way. So, well, I'm
Absolutely.
so impressed. We'll share all the links, but share out loud. It's good to orate where people can find you.
Yes. So warpartyranch.org is our website. You can find us on social media. So we have the War Party Movement Instagram page. We have the War Party Ranch Instagram page. If anybody knows how to work Facebook real good, hit me up because I don't know how to use it. Um,
Well, now it's
we're
like a mega thing.
we're in a technical. I know we're in some technical difficulties with our Facebook pages right now.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so that's where we are. Um,
Okay.
those are our social medias and our website.
Beautiful. Well, Jeremiah, I really appreciate you being here. It's a deep honor to have you here, and I'm thankful that you're doing your great work.
No, thank you, ma'am. I'm honored to do it, and thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. When you say ma'am, it reminds me of my dad. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Once again, I want to thank Jeramiah Wilber, aka Jeramiah Blackbeard, for joining us today. And I want to thank all of you for listening in. Please, if inspired, get involved. The links are below. You can donate, volunteer your time, and sharing is caring. Until next time, we're going to sign out with a little Kadri Scott Shine. This is Suzanne signing out with a full heart, a soft gaze, a deep bow, and a namaste. Be simply.
Every day I'm looking and searching for something to calm my mind, but I don't know what I'm looking for because it's hiding behind the lines. Still so dissatisfied, content would be nice. Don't know what to do, where to go, to choose. The more I hold on to, can't be, think I'll lose. So maybe it's about time I just focus on what's good. Maybe if we all did that, we'd feel more understood. Every day we're flipping through options, all the